Something is seriously wrong heading into the 2026 US Open. Shinnecock Hills is 11 days away, the biggest major of the summer. Scottie Scheffler is chasing a Grand Slam on his 30th birthday at one of the most brutal courses in the world. 9 names, 9 stars who should absolutely be there, have gone completely silent. No updates, no press conferences, no tee times confirmed. Honestly, I think some of these absences are going to define the rest of this season more than anything that actually happens at Shinnecock. Do you agree? Drop your thoughts below. Here is what is making this worse. This is not happening in a normal week. LIV Golf is losing its SATI funding. Merger talks start. The entire structure of professional golf is shifting, and right in the middle of all that chaos, these 9 players have simply disappeared. Subscribe right now if you follow the PGA Tour every single week, because this is exactly what we break down every time something like this hits. Once you hear who these 9 are and why they went dark, you will not see this US Open the same way. To understand just how serious this is, you need to feel the weight of what Shinnecock Hills actually means this year. This is not a regular US Open. Scheffler arrives having already won the PGA Championship and the Open Championship. One more major. That is all that stands between him and a career Grand Slam. The final round falls on his 30th birthday. Only golf writes storylines like that. So the stage is already extraordinary. The pressure is already historic. Every golf fan in the world is already locked on that course, which makes what is happening around it even harder to ignore. When the biggest names go dark before the biggest moments, that is when you know something is genuinely wrong. Not a scheduling conflict, not a planned rest week, something deeper. Something that name by name will make complete sense of why the PGA Tour is in shock right now. One more layer makes this even heavier. Saudi Arabia is pulling its funding from LIV Golf at the end of this season. Merger talks collapsed. 2 years of back-channel negotiations, gone. Professional golf's entire landscape is shifting underneath everyone's feet right now. 9 stars going quiet is not just a field story. It is happening at the worst possible moment for a tour that needed this US Open to feel like a statement. It does not feel like a statement. It feels like a warning. And the reason it feels that way starts with a pattern, one that becomes impossible to ignore once you see how these disappearances actually connect. Here is what is strange about all 9 situations. Not one of them is the same type of absence. Some of these players are dealing with physical injuries. Some are handling personal situations that go far beyond golf. Some withdrew without a single word of explanation. At least one of them was, just weeks ago, being talked about as one of the most exciting players on the entire PGA Tour. That variety is exactly what makes this so unsettling. One big name missing before a major, you accept it. Injuries happen. Rest weeks happen. 9 names across 9 completely different situations, all going quiet at the same time before the US Open at Shinnecock Hills? That is not coincidence. Patterns in professional golf always mean something. What makes this pattern even harder to accept is that some of these absences were completely unthinkable just 3 months ago. One player in particular was producing numbers that had the whole tour talking. And what happened to him is the kind of story that stops you cold. Through his first 8 starts of 2026, this player recorded 7 finishes inside the top 11, nearly 320 yards off the tee on average, over $3 million earned before April, scoring average ranked 3rd on the full PGA Tour, strokes gained total ranked 6th. Fred Couples played practice rounds with him at Augusta and told people directly he believed this man had the talent to win the Masters. Those are not the numbers of a player on a hot streak. Those are the numbers of someone genuinely arriving at the highest level of the sport. Then everything stopped. A left thumb injury surfaced after the Masters and refused to leave. 4 consecutive withdrawals followed: the Cadillac Championship, the Truist Championship, the PGA Championship, and now the Memorial Tournament. No timeline given, no update released, just gone. The name behind those numbers will hit harder once you understand what he was already carrying before the injury arrived. Because this was never just a golfer finding form, and the golf world only learned the full picture recently. Jake Knapp lost his girlfriend Makina White last September. She had been beside him throughout his entire rise on tour. After her passing, he returned to competition and produced the best golf of his professional career. Many people watching closely called his 2026 season one of the most inspiring stories in the sport. Now he has no timetable, no return date, just silence. Knapp is not alone in that silence, though. Somewhere on this list there is a player who has reached 6 U.S. Open finals and walked away with nothing every single time. A player who knows Shinnecock Hills the way most professionals only know their home course. For this man, this specific tournament at this specific venue represents the last unfinished chapter of a career most golfers could only dream of having. He did not file an entry to qualify. No exemption has been granted. The window has nearly closed. That name and the reason behind that decision changes how you feel about this entire U.S. Open. Because when you hear what is keeping him away from the one major he has never won, every other name on this list suddenly connects in a way you did not expect. Phil Mickelson is not coming to Shinnecock Hills. 6 runner-up finishes at the U.S. Open. 2 of those heartbreaks happened at this exact course. This was supposed to be the year that made the most emotional sense. One final shot at the only major that has always escaped him, at the venue that already owns 2 of the most painful moments of his career. Instead, Mickelson announced an extended break due to a family health matter. No entry filed, no exemption requested, no farewell statement about what Shinnecock means to him. Just gone. Phil's absence alone would have been enough to shake the golf world, but nothing on this list, not Knapp, not Mickelson, carries the weight of the silence that comes next. Because this one does not involve a thumb injury or a family situation. This one involves a DUI, a crash, a rehabilitation facility, and the greatest player this sport has ever produced. The USGA's own CEO was asked directly, will this player tee it up at Shinnecock Hills? His response was that he would be super surprised. Then he added something that landed differently than anything else said about this U.S. Open, that what this player is going through right now is much bigger than golf. 15 major championships. A career that did not just define an era, but redefined the sport itself for an entire generation. Right now, 11 days before the U.S. Open, there is no footage of him on a practice range. No return date. No statement beyond the one released months ago, confirming he was stepping away to seek treatment and focus on his health. Tiger Woods is not coming to Shinnecock Hills. That is the silence sitting at the center of all of this. Not because the field lacks quality without him, because the greatest player who ever played this game is absent from the most demanding major of the year, and the reason has nothing to do with his swing, his fitness, or his world ranking. Now you have the 3 names that explain why the PGA Tour is in shock. But the story does not end there, because 5 more players who should be at Shinnecock are either injured, fallen from where they once were, or still fighting just to earn a tee time. And one of them was in the final group on Sunday, the last time this course hosted the U.S. Open. Viktor Hovland withdrew from the Memorial Tournament with no explanation given. No injury confirmed, no statement released. For a player who has already won that event and genuinely enjoys the course, that kind of disappearance is not routine. Those close to the situation believe his neck issue from 2025 has returned. He missed the cut at the PGA Championship. 0 top 10s this entire year. Before Shinnecock, complete silence. Tony Finau stood in the final group on Sunday at Shinnecock Hills in 2018. 7 years later, he sits outside the top 100 in the world, failed to qualify for the Masters this year, and is now fighting through qualifying just to earn a tee time at the course where he once contended for a title. No polite way to say it, that fall is stunning. Will Zalatoris is 29 years old, 3 back surgeries. He said it himself. He still feels like a 29-year-old who has had 3 back surgeries. Runner-up at the PGA Championship. Runner-up at the Masters. Runner-up at the U.S. Open. Currently ranked outside the top 300 in the world, battling an ankle injury, fighting to stay relevant on a tour where he was once considered one of the most dangerous major players of his generation. Max Homa sits at world number 123. 5 missed cuts in 6 U.S. Open starts, lost a qualifying playoff last year, fighting for a spot again this year from the outside. Max Grazerman is the highest-ranked player currently without a confirmed place in the field, sitting at world number 62. Along with Finau, Homa, and others, he still needs either a late surge in the rankings or a successful run through final qualifying just to stand on that first tee. 9 names, 9 completely different stories. every single one of them pointing toward the same uncomfortable truth about where professional golf actually stands heading into Shinnecock Hills. Saudi Arabia is gone, LIV is collapsing, the merger is dead. The PGA Tour is navigating the biggest structural shift in modern golf history, and its most iconic names are disappearing one by one before its most demanding major. Scheffler will tee it up, chasing a Grand Slam on his 30th birthday. That storyline is real and extraordinary. The 9 names missing around him tell a story that is just as important, and in some ways more revealing, about where this sport genuinely is right now. If you are new here, subscribe. This is exactly the kind of breakdown we deliver every single week. And drop it in the comments. Which of these 9 silences hits the hardest for you? Because Shinnecock Hills begins in 11 days. The names competing will chase history. The names who are not there will cast a shadow over every single round.